Today on the patio, I'm sharing with you my 8 secrets to the perfect steak. We're starting with what I like to call the king of steaks. It is a big old porterhouse. We've got a filet and we've got a big New York strip on the side. Perfect combination if you ask me. Step number 1 is you've got to start with some quality meat. Prime is the minimum. If you want a really good steak, don't go by choice or select. Buy prime. If you can, get yourself a dry brine steak or go up to an American Wagyu. I don't typically recommend A5 Japanese Wagyu. I mean, it is delicious. I've only had it once, but it's not a steak you're gonna sit down and enjoy yourself. It's more, get a big old steak and divide it amongst 6 or 8 people and give them a little try of it, right? So today we're using a Snake River Farms black grade Wagyu. It's American Wagyu porterhouse. Step number 2, dry brine. Now, as you can see, this guy is all dry on the top and we've got a bright, nice red color. What does dry brining do? Dry brining is simply adding salt and then some other seasonings or rub. And what happens is the salt draws out that moisture, and as that moisture evaporates, it gets pulled back into the meat and we suck our salt deeper into the meat. It allows for a fully seasoned steak throughout the meat, not just on the outside. In this particular case, I used some diamond kosher salt, only salt, and I did this 16 hours ago. So gave a heavy coating of salt on the outside all the way around, really salt the fat, and then I put it on this rack, and as you can see, had something else on there, and I put it in for 16 hours. As a general rule of thumb for dry brining, 12 hours minimum. I like to go at least 16, but if you can, do 24 to 48 hours. Secret number 3, reverse sear your steak. Now, reverse searing has been around a very long time. If you look over YouTube, you think it's a new thing over the last like 3 to 5 years, but it has been around a long time. Lots of people are talking about it. But the great thing about it is that what we do is we slow cook our meat and we cook it to our desired temperature. What's gonna happen there is that we're gonna have a nice even pink across our entire meat with maybe the tiniest little bit of gray band. So you get a very well-cooked steak. We have to do an indirect cook for that. So here's our reverse sear setup. We've got a hot zone, which we'll use over here. Then we've got our deflector plate down there, and we've got our top grate nice and high. And this is not, I can hold my hand here, right here. Here's definitely a little hotter. We've got some heat coming up there because our lump is right there. But this will help protect our meat, and we'll slow cook it until it gets up to temperature on the indirect side. One thing I want to point out about our steak today is that this is a porterhouse, very similar to a T-bone, except for we get a little bit of a larger filet and often a larger New York strip. The trick to cooking either is the fact you've got to remember that this filet cooks a lot quicker than the New York strip, right? So positioning on your grill is important. So for this one, what we're going to do here, so as we put our steak on here, what we're gonna do is we're actually going to put directly in the middle, and I'm gonna put my filet closer to the fire. Our ceramics are gonna heat up a little bit, and we're gonna get some side heat from this, so I'm gonna leverage that. In this particular one, I've got a big old piece of fat that's gonna help protect the side of it. But what'll happen here is this side will cook a little quicker than this side, which will help balance it out when it's done. Now with the reverse sear, you wanna cook until your desired temperature. There is a little caveat here. Now this guy is 2 inches thick. This is a big old steak. So when I put it in sear mode, even at 2-3 minutes aside, I'm not gonna get a lot of heat into the center of the steak. If you're using a thin steak and you want it, your final product around 125, you might back it down to 120. But if it's a thick steak, you can cook it until the final temp that you want it. For me, it's gonna be 132. Been about 45 minutes. We are now on to step number 5, which is rest for 15 minutes. Let's have a look at it. Now, the filet started to cook quicker, so I moved it over a little bit, and we're pretty close. 127, 132 as we get down further, 129, 130. Right, so we were apart about 4 degrees when I was sitting right here, so I just kind of shoved it over a little bit, took advantage of some of that cooking there. And now what we'll do is we'll pull this guy off. So as you can see right now, we are fully cooked, but it's not the most appetizing piece of meat. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna let this rest. I'm gonna let it rest now for 15 minutes. We're gonna open up the vents on our Joe and get ready to get into dialing up the heat for our sear. I like to let it rest now. Some people like to go right to the sear and then they let it rest. I like that crust that we're gonna build nice and fresh, and I'm gonna tear into it right then. So what we're gonna do, we'll let this rest for 15 minutes and we'll get on to the next secret. Secret number 6, clarified butter bath. So what is clarified butter? I just quickly made some. This is about 4 sticks of butter. All you do is you slowly bring it up to temperature in a pot or in the microwave, and what'll happen there is the milk solids will go to the bottom and then some of the fats will come to the top. And you can see there's some milk fats here left a little bit. I kind of rushed through this. You can put this through a strainer a couple times and get rid of all that, but for the most part, we're in pretty good shape. This has some delicious flavor, but the most important thing here is that this is now great for high temperature cooking. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna give ourselves a little bit of a bath. You could, and I wanted to, put some thyme or something in this if you like thyme on your steak. Unfortunately, the thyme that I thought was in the fridge was not in the fridge. So we'll give that a nice little bath. It's all going down the sides. We'll do the bottom. And if you put this in the fridge, this will just harden like butter. It lasts as long as butter does. And then I just kind of take a tablespoon and scoop it out whenever I want it. You can melt it down or just use it solid. Just a tiny bit more. Secret number 7 is to sear at 600 plus. You don't have to go super high, but I really like to have it at least about 600. And I just had this open, we're back up to 550, so we're in pretty good shape there. You'll notice I don't have my grates in, right? What I don't want to happen right now is I don't want my grates to be super hot and all that conductive heat go into the meat, right? I want a nice crust from our lump and our lump only. So we'll put this grates in here. What we'll do here is we'll put our grates down on the second level here. So we're not on right on top of the fire, but we're pretty close. And right away we're gonna put our steak on. You'll notice there was no sizzling sound because the grates are cold. So we're only gonna go 30 seconds to a minute per side. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna flip it a couple times so we don't cook too much on one side, but we're getting a nice crust. I've got a pretty good crust on both sides, so what I'm gonna do is gonna stand this guy up a little bit. What that's gonna do is that's gonna heat up that bone, and you know right along the bone it's a lot rare. That'll just help cook it from the inside just a little bit. Last but not least, secret number 8 is eat it and enjoy it. Not really a secret, but you worked this hard to create yourself a great steak. Take your time and enjoy that. Now, you'll notice I did not put any pepper on this particular one. Sometimes I put salt and pepper on it as part of the dry brine, but in this case, because I was gonna use some clarified butter, it was gonna get super, super hot, and I decided not to use the pepper and just use the salt. So we're gonna dig into this because, as I said, we don't have to rest. Before we do that, I gotta talk to you about my 25,000 subscriber giveaway. It's coming quick. You can go to my website, ramencook.com, scroll all the way down and sign up for the newsletter, or across the top there's a 25K giveaway link. Check that out and you can sign up for the newsletter. We're doing a big giveaway, and 25K will be here before we know it. That being said, I think we can dig in. It's time to enjoy. If you pay close attention, I already cut it open. I thought the cameras were rolling, but they weren't. But I gotta show you the reveal, so I nailed it. All right, I just wanna let you know. But there it is right there. Perfect color on our New York strip. I already tried a piece of the filet and then the camera's turned off, and I noticed I wasn't filming. But as you can see, great color on that as well. Look, I worked hard on this steak. I'm gonna try it again for you, but I'll tell you what, it is delicious. That, my friends, is the perfect steak. I mean, the pressure's on when the camera's on, but that is perfect. I nailed it. All these steps added up to a great steak. Perfect temperature, great flavor. We got all that salt coming through from the dry brine. The butter is just a nice little aftertaste and created a great crust here. The star of the show is the steak. It's one of those steaks where I don't care about the sides or the potatoes, whatever, vegetables, I could eat this whole thing and be perfectly happy. You know, just another reason why you should spend a little bit of money on your steak. Get yourself a prime, dry aged, or if you want something delicious, get this Snake River Farms American Wagyu. Not sponsored video. I buy their meat all the time and have for years. It's absolutely worth the price. Hopefully you got some value out of this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe while you're down there. Thanks as always for watching. I'll see you soon.